Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my HOA Karen Tales channel? Thank you so much. I had always known Karen was a control freak, but I never thought she'd stoop to grand theft auto until the day I came home and my car was gone. Welcome to Karen's Daily. Before we begin this story, please like the video and subscribe so we can continue making videos like this one. I had just finished a long day at work, pulling into my driveway as usual, but something fell off. It took me a second to realize what I was looking at, or rather what I wasn't looking at. My car, which had been parked in my driveway that morning, had vanished without a trace. For a moment, I thought it had been stolen. My heart started racing as I fumbled for my phone to call the police, but before I could dial, a voice as grating as nails on a chalkboard cut through the evening air. "Oh, you're back," Karen chirped from across the street, arms crossed with that smug, self-satisfied smirk that had made her infamous in the neighborhood. I turned sharply. "Karen, where's my car?" She let out a dramatic sigh, shaking her head like she was dealing with an unruly child. "I had it removed since you clearly don't respect the HOA's parking regulations. It was cluttering up the neighborhood. You should be thanking me." I blinked. "Removed?" It took me a second to process what she was saying. "Karen, that car was parked in my own driveway. You had no right to touch it." She scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Oh, please, just because it's in your driveway doesn't mean it's not an eyesore. This is a classy neighborhood, and frankly, that car has been bothering me for weeks. I took care of it." My jaw clenched. "Karen, tell me exactly what you did." She smiled wider. "I had it towed. Called in a private tow truck this afternoon. No need to thank me." I felt my blood pressure skyrocket. "Karen, you had no legal authority to tow my car. That's theft. Where is it now?" She shrugged, completely unfazed. "I don't know, probably an impound. Not my problem. If you can't follow the rules, you deal with the consequences." I pulled out my phone, already dialing the towing company's number, but before I could hit call, realization hit me like a freight train. That car, the one Karen had so smugly stolen, it didn't even belong to me. It belonged to my cousin, and he was an FBI agent. My stomach dropped. "Oh, Karen, you just made the biggest mistake of your life." I didn't even hesitate before dialing my cousin. The phone barely rang once before he picked up. "Hey, what's up?" "Ah, we have a situation," I said, pacing my driveway and glancing at Karen, who was still standing there looking pleased with herself. "Karen had your car towed from my driveway." There was silence on the other end for a second. "She did what?" "Yeah," I said, rubbing my temples. "She claimed it was violating HOA rules and called a private tow company." My cousin let out a slow, measured breath. "All right, I'm handling this. What's the tow company's name?" I checked my phone quickly, pulling up the information Karen had so generously left in my mailbox. "It's Precision Towing. Looks like a local company." "Got it. I'll make some calls." "Stay put." Karen had been watching me closely the entire time. "What? Call your lawyer? You really think you're going to win this? The HOA has rules, and you have to follow them." I turned to her, smirking. "Actually, Karen, that car belonged to a federal agent, and towing a government vehicle without authorization? Yeah, that's a federal crime." Karen's face immediately drained of color. "What? What?" She stammered. No, that's ridiculous. How was I supposed to know? It's just a car." I folded my arms. "Oh, I'm sure the FBI will be very understanding about that." Karen stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. For once, the smugness had drained from her face, replaced with the dawning realization that she had really screwed up. But still, in true Karen fashion, she doubled down. "Oh, please," she scoffed, though her voice wavered slightly. "It's just a car. It's not like I stole it. I had it legally removed. If anything, your cousin should be thanking me for ensuring the neighborhood stays in top condition." I stared at her, genuinely in awe of the sheer delusion pouring out of her mouth. "Karen, you illegally ordered a tow truck to remove a federally issued vehicle. You're about to have a very, very bad day." Before she could spit out another entitled excuse, my cousin called me back. I answered immediately. Yeah, his tone was deadly serious. I got in touch with the towing company. They're panicking. They didn't realize the car was federal property, and they've already looped in their legal team. They're returning it immediately but this is now an active federal investigation. I glanced at Karen, who was eavesdropping with wide eyes, her confidence slipping fast. Well, that's going to be interesting for Karen to explain. Karen suddenly shrieked, "Wait, what do you mean federal investigation? That's ridiculous. You're just trying to scare me." I smirked. "No, Karen, you did this to yourself." Less than an hour later, two black SUVs pulled up in front of my house. Karen, who had been pacing like a caged animal, stopped in her tracks as two men in dark suits stepped out, flashing their badges. "FBI." Karen immediately turned to run, but she barely made it 2 steps before one of the agents called out, "Ma'am, we need to speak with you now." She slowly turned around, her face completely drained of color. "This is a misunderstanding. I was just following neighborhood rules." The agent, a man with a non-nonsense expression, took out a notepad. "We have reports that you ordered a private towing company to remove federal property without authorization. Can you confirm this?" Karen's hands shook. "Well, yes, but how was I supposed to know? It's not like it had an FBI sticker on it." The other agent, a woman with sharp eyes, stepped forward. "So just to be clear, you admitted to ordering the removal of a vehicle that did not belong to you and wasn't obstructing anything, and you gave instructions." Without verifying the ownership, Karen gulped. Yes, but I had every right. This is an HOA community." The male agent exchanged a look with his partner before turning back to Karen. "Ma'am, unauthorized removal of a federally issued vehicle can be considered interference with government property. That's a federal offense. You need to come with us for questioning." Karen's entire body seized up. Wait. You're arresting me." "We're detaining you for questioning," the agent corrected. "Whether charges are filed will depend on our investigation." Karen turned to me, desperation in her eyes. "You can't let them do this. You know I didn't mean any harm. This is your fault." I shrugged. "No, Karen, this is entirely your fault." And with that, the agents escorted her into one of the black SUVs. Meanwhile, across the street, several neighbors had gathered, watching in stunned silence. Then, one by one, a few of them started clapping as the car pulled away. I couldn't help but smile. Karen had spent years terrorizing this neighborhood, acting like she was above the law. But today, she learned the hard way that rules applied to her too. And this wasn't over yet. The moment the black SUV disappeared down the street, the entire neighborhood was left in stunned silence. Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, had just been taken in for questioning by the FBI. I stood on my porch, arms crossed, watching as my neighbors whispered amongst themselves. Some of them looked horrified, others amused. It wasn't every day that the tyrant of the community got hauled away by federal agents. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw a text from my cousin. "Cousin, they're questioning her now. It's bad. She might get charged." I smirked. Karen had finally gone too far, but it wasn't over yet. 2 hours later, the tow truck pulled back up in front of my house, and a nervous-looking driver stepped out. He walked up to me, wiping sweat from his brow. "We're really sorry about this. We had no idea the vehicle was government property." I raised an eyebrow. "And yet you still took it from my driveway, without checking ownership first." The man gulped. We were just following orders." The lady, Karen, she was real pushy, kept saying she had authority over everything. "We figured it was an HOA issue." I scoffed. "Well, turns out it's a felony-level issue." The tow truck driver quickly nodded. "We're bringing the car back, no charge, of course, and we're cutting all ties with that woman. She tried to call us while she was in the SUV, demanding we cover for her. We're not getting involved in that mess." I chuckled. Smart move. As the car was lowered back onto my driveway, I could finally breathe again, but the damage had been done for Karen, at least. The next morning, I got a call from my cousin. "You're going to want to hear this." I leaned against the kitchen counter, already grinning. "Oh, this ought to be good." Karen lost it during questioning. She kept insisting she was just following The FBI was overreacting, but when they pulled up her record, it turns out this isn't the first time she's been in legal trouble. My smile froze. "Wait, what?" "Yeah, she had prior lawsuits against her for harassment and fraudulent HOA practices from a different neighborhood. That, combined with the unauthorized tow, means they're pressing charges for interference with federal property and fraudulent representation of authority. I let out a low whistle. So what's the verdict? She's being formally charged and will have to appear in court. The FBI isn't playing around with this. She might actually serve time. I almost dropped my phone. Karen in jail? The same Karen who had been issuing ridiculous fines for mailbox designs? The same Karen who had bullied half the neighborhood into submission? You still there? My cousin asked, chuckling. Yeah, I said, shaking my head. Just wow. I didn't think it would actually go this far. Well, she wanted power, he said. Now she gets to explain herself to a judge. Over the next few days, the fallout rippled through the neighborhood. The HOA held an emergency meeting during which the board members, desperate to distance themselves, voted Karen out permanently. Even better, a group of homeowners banded together and started a class action lawsuit against Karen for abusing her authority and misusing HOA funds. Turns out she had been collecting special assessment fees that were never approved. Karen was done. A week later, I was outside watering my lawn when I saw a moving truck pull up in front of Karen's house. My jaw nearly dropped. She was being evicted. Karen stormed out onto her lawn, barking orders at the movers, her face twisted in pure rage. She looked over at me, her eyes burning with humiliation. Are you happy now? She shrieked. You ruined my life. I took a sip of my coffee, completely unbothered. No, Karen, you did that all on your own. And with that, she shoved the last box into her car and sped off, leaving behind the neighborhood she once ruled with an iron fist. As I stood there watching her disappear for good, my cousin's car pulled up beside me. He rolled down the window and smirked. So what did I miss? I grinned. Just karma finally doing its job. And with that, peace returned to the neighborhood. And Karen? Well, she was just another cautionary tale of what happens when you mess with the wrong people.